Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Yes, it's a bonus video. It's Saturday. Normally, about this time, I am teaching a class, the basic NRA safety course for lock and load. I say NRA, but it's USCCA. But the basic pistol safety course is synonymous with NRA. That's beside the point. I am not teaching today. There was no class. So, I'm bringing you guys an extra video. Now, I'm sure some of you may have seen the episode from Sean Ryan that came out yesterday. And if you hadn't, I'm going to link to it down in the description below. And I just wanted to give a quick synopsis of it, some thoughts on it. And to say the least, absolutely mind-blowing. If, and I say if, everything they said is true, we're in for a wild ride this year. And that's what's going to kind of be the sum of this whole thing is, how is this year going to go? If you pay attention and you see how society and the border and everything's going, you can surmise that 2025 is going to be insane. It's going to be unprecedented. I think that we're just going to see bedlam. But that's me, okay? I mean, maybe we don't see a thing and everything just goes over smoothly. I don't know. Not my job to know. But reading the tea leaves, pretty sure it's going to be a nutty time. So we're going to cover the Sean Ryan video with Sam Shumate. But first, down in the description below is a link to the merch store. So if you're looking to get yourself some nice sweatshirts or t-shirts or mugs or stickers or whatever, go to the merch store, pick up some merch. It helps the channel greatly. At the very least, there's always locals, Patreon. You can become a member right here on YouTube. And you know what's free? Simply liking the video, sharing it with your friends, putting something in the comment section, discussing your thoughts on this video. And if you haven't subscribed, because according to the metrics, a lot of people haven't subscribed yet, just subscribe to the channel, toggle the notification bell, and you'll get updates when I put up a new video or a short or things of that nature. Plus, if you guys watched the last video, which a lot of people did, then you know that I have opened up private lessons. Now, again, this private lesson is not us running around doing CQB stuff. It is not, you know, high speed, all that good stuff. It is your basic things. It's me trying to help you become a better shooter. Whether you're new or you're experienced, but you just have bad habits and you're not sure how to get rid of those bad habits. Like a lot of right-handed people like to shoot low left. Well, there's an easy way to fix it. And that's what I'm here for. So if you are in need of private lessons and you're in central Connecticut area, then email me. We'll set up a day and a time to meet over at the gun range, and I'll help kind of square you away the best I can. All right? So there's that. Private lessons are available. All right, let's talk about this Vegas bomber and at the Trump Hotel. How does it correspond with the terror attack in New Orleans? It's simple. There's no correlation. I know originally when it came out on the first, everybody was like, oh my God, there's a connection. There's no connection. Yet they were stationed at the same base. So what? It's a massive base. It doesn't matter. They weren't in the same unit. They didn't do the same job, blah, 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 blah. They're just at the same base at some time. There's thousands of other people at those bases. Doesn't mean anything. But there's that thing. Okay. So the Vegas bomber, it's not a terrorist attack. The one in New Orleans obviously was, regardless of what the FBI said, because they came out really quick and that lady was like, this is not a terrorist attack. And they've had to walk that back, like, nah, it's a terrorist attack. I mean, a guy had an ISIS flag on the back of the truck, which the FBI tried to cover up. But we're not talking about that. We're going to talk about Vegas. That was not a terrorist attack. That was an active duty SF Army dude blowing himself up. Why is really unclear. So, the guy's name is Matthew Livelsberger. He was active duty U.S. Army, Green Beret. He was in the Tesla truck, supposedly. I say that just because it's completely unclear at this moment. They're assuming he was. He shot himself with a .50 caliber Deagle. and then detonated the vehicle. There's a lot of conjecture. Was he dead before he pulled up? This, that, and the other thing. Nobody knows. They're just, the official narrative that's coming out is he pulled up, shot himself, and then detonated the vehicle. The weird part is when you watch the footage, you don't see any report from the gun going off. You don't hear anything. You see the explosion. But they've come out and said that the Tesla was not on autopilot, because if he had offed himself somewhere else and then used autopilot to drive there, I don't know. It's all in the video. You can watch it for yourself. Who knows what? All I do know is, based on what we've been told, the configuration of this car bomb, it was pretty crappy. Filled with fireworks, gasoline tanks, and camping fuel. So little propane tanks, I would assume. For someone who's a Green Beret 20 years in, I'm pretty sure he could build something way better. I know I could build something way better, and I'm sure some of you out there have the general knowledge on how to build something definitely more effective than what was in that vehicle. That being said, more than likely, it was not designed for mass casualty or to level a building. It was designed to do exactly what it did and only explode right there. Just basically trying to bring attention to his manifesto, suicide note, whatever you want to call it, which he had emailed out to a lot of people. So the person that came forward with it was Sam Shumate. He's in the video, and he's discussing it. He's a former Intel guy for the military. He's still doing Intel stuff now, but not at for the government. It's for private corporations and such. So he got the email, and he's gone public with the email, the manifesto, as you want to call it. And during the video, they actually took a break so that Sean Ryan could go scrape his email server, and he found a similar email that had come in but never went anywhere. So there's that. It's weird how he picked a Cybertruck to detonate, because, I mean, literally the Cybertruck is touted as being bulletproof by Tesla, Elon Musk, and such. And there's plenty of videos out there showing it, that the truck is literally bulletproof for certain calibers. And they've come out and they've said in the initial and official narrative is that the Cybertruck contained the explosion, thus not doing any damage to the exterior front of the Trump Hotel. Inside the letter, he says a bunch of weird stuff about drones. I'm not getting into that. It's like UFO stuff, science fiction stuff. I don't know, nor do I care. He admitted to having a VBID, and this is the funny part, is if you have a little bit of knowledge, you'll understand what a VBID is. But apparently, when they were talking in the video, Sam Shumate literally had to explain to the FBI what a VBID was. And if you don't know, just in case you don't know, VBID is Vehicle Borne Improvised Explosive. All right, I gotta be careful what I say because of the algorithm and all that, but it is a VBIED. Apparently the FBI was completely clueless and had no idea. And if you've watched their press conferences, you'll understand why. It seems like they're more of a DEI hire than, competent agents. But whatever. Hands down, the truck and what was inside the truck was a really poor design. So what do we know? We know that he was a 20-year SF guy, which we covered. In late December, he had sent out emails furiously to a ton of people. Sam was the only one that picked it up, and he had gone public. Now, old boy does his thing. Nobody's hurt, like killed or anything like that, other than him. But for some reason, the Army CID, the Army PAO, which is a public affairs officer, and it stretches all the way to the top. A lot of people have taken interest in this and are trying to craft an official narrative, and nobody is on the same page as of yet. Other agencies like the FBI, the CIA, ATF, etc. are all in play too, along with the Army. Maybe because he was active duty, I don't know. Or there is just a deeper conspiracy going on here. But God only knows. All right, but all I know is it's really weird. Like, nobody's got an official story, and the stuff he wrote in his email / manifesto, which you guys can find online, there are names that are dropped, and some of those individuals are still active doing what, like, they name a DEA agent. He's still an active DEA agent, so hopefully whatever copies you find have his name redacted because of OPSEC. Otherwise, basically his cover is going to be blown and all that good stuff. So you can find all that stuff online. Again, just watch the video down below. After you watch this one, go watch the Sean Ryan one. It's just, everything's really, really weird. So it all comes down to, again, 2025 is going to be a wild ride. I'm telling you. You better be ready. I hope to God you are. Because they also go into talking about Iranian man pads being scurried across our border and now are in our border, and that is why Trump was not taking Trump Force One. He was using commercial flights, as in they were chartered, and the Secret Service was really kind of freaking out. Now, everyone's acting like this is brand new information, but a real quick Google search, and you'll see articles all the way back to September where the Secret Service and our United States government were talking about Iranian plans to unalive Trump, and that the cartel, with the help of Iran, smuggled man pads into our country. And I'm thinking, okay, they crossed the border via like an empty hole through the fence. In the episode, they talk about how they literally just went through a checkpoint, and the checkpoint just let them go. And if you don't know what a man pad is a man-portable air defense system, kind of like, almost like, I don't want to say a javelin because that's surface to surface, but it's surface to air missiles for taking out planes and things like that. All right. Now, according to their video, 2 different sources, one that's south of the border, and then one or a few that are in the United States government, have confirmed that, yes, these have come across the border and they have no idea where they are. That is not very reassuring to me. Now, the border has been a massive problem over the past 4 years. We know that there have been hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people crossing. And we know that tens of thousands of them are on a terror watch list, known to us, and they've all been released. They have no idea where they are. Because what they do is they catch, they release, 0 checks, and then all of a sudden they'll pop and they'll be in the terror watch list or whatever, and then they have no idea where these people have gone, right? I mean, we've lost like 300,000 children over the past 4 years, or whatever that crazy number is. And we've just let terrorists, or known terrorists, or people that have known terror ties, to just run amok throughout the country. We just let them go, and we have no idea where they are. So, we do know that there are sleeper cells in our country, and I'm pretty sure they've come across our border, which means that if they're activated, because they've already talked about there's plots to go after Trump, right? We had numbnuts that was big into Ukraine, been to Ukraine a lot, blah, blah, blah. One where the Secret Service took a bunch of shots at him 5 feet away and couldn't hit that damn thing. How do you miss a target at 5 feet? That is beyond me. I mean, you don't even have to aim at that point. You just point the gun in the general direction, you're going to hit something. That was the third one. The second one, obviously, was the kid that clipped Trump's ear. But prior to that, they talked about how they arrested and foiled an Iranian plot with an Iranian that was in our country that was planning on doing these things. Well, and it was all coming to light, and then it quickly just quieted down and went away. I wonder why that is. You've got to look at all the things we've been doing over the 4 years. Congress introduced a bill, and like nobody's heard of it. It basically says that we need to stop funding the Taliban. So when we withdrew from Afghanistan 4 years ago, and everybody knows the withdrawal was just horrendous, the biggest mistake of the Biden administration, the Taliban took over rather quickly, and they ran around and started up a bunch of NGOs. Now, who's funding those NGOs? We are. Our tax dollars are funding these NGOs to the sum of like $40 million a month or some weird astronomical number like that. So we're funding these NGOs. You think those NGOs are there to help the people? No, those NGOs are there to help fund terrorism. So we're funding our own attacks that are going to be happening. That being said, around the same time, early Biden administration, the Biden administration released a bunch of funds to Iran, so Iran can now afford to fund the Houthis and all these other terrorist groups that want to do the West harm. Not just America, the West in general, right? They want to go after Israel. They want to go after the UAE. They want to go after Europe. They want to go after America mainly. So there's that. If you watch the video with Sarah Adams, she talks about the invisible S-vests. So I'm sure you all know what an S-vest is, right? They wear it around, they boom. Well, for the longest time, they would just set off metal detectors because there's metal components in it. Well, technology has advanced to the point to where, and it's not just us, it's not just like rumor mill or conspiracy. Like they, literally, the Taliban, have come out and bragged about the technology. That they now have the technology to where they could pass through a metal detector without setting it off. The vests are basically invisible to our detection, which means they could get into a lot of public venues if they wanted to and cause mass casualty problems. America has never had that happen. We've never had somebody just walk in and then clack off. Americans are not ready for that kind of barbarism. Never knowing if a person can just pop off or not. And that is the essential definition of terrorism, to create terror. Of course, we talked about the sleeper cells that are out there. So, again, I think over the past 4 years, a lot of damage has been done to our country. And it's all culminating to this year. It's going to be a wild ride. There's already people rioting in the streets. There's already people that are demonstrating, trying to force Congress not to certify Trump, not let him take office. Pro-Palestinian protests out there, pro-Houthi protests. It's all boiling to a head. Be prepared. Get your affairs together, right? So make sure you have your basic essentials. Emergency food, obviously ammunition, ways to store water, at least purify water, because you never know what's going to happen. Now, you should be doing that anyways, and it shouldn't be like, oh my God, we're going to get attacked, this, that. No, you know what? Currently, right now, in Tennessee, they're going through a massive cold front. The cold air is coming down from Canada, sweeping across the plains, bringing tons of snow and ice, and going into Tennessee and then working its way across the East Coast. Now, here in the Northeast, we shouldn't see anything, or bare minimum, and it won't hit us till later on, starting early next week. That being said, it gets super cold, below normal temperatures, you lose power. What do? If you don't have emergency supplies, make sure you have emergency supplies, because sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows a lot, and then you're stuck in your home. You need a way to cook your food, heat your food, get water, etc. How many times have you seen on the news people stuck on highways, caught in a freak blizzard or whatever it is, and now they're stuck there for a couple of days? You should have these emergency kits in your car so you can survive for at least 3 days if you're stuck in your car for some ungodly reason. I mean, when you see these, like, oh my God, the highway is backed up because of this blizzard, and then they're like, well, a bunch of people died in their car because they starved or they died of dehydration or this, that. Have things prepared. Don't think that, hey, tomorrow when I wake up, everything's going to be hunky-dory, because, you know, sometimes it's not. It's better to be prepared and never need it than everything goes sideways in the world and you desperately need things, because that's when society was going to break down super fast, because those that don't have anything are going to seek ways to get stuff, right? And you don't want to be a loot drop. So you don't want to go and spend all your time and money collecting all this stuff with no way to protect any of it, no way to hide it. So, of course, when you get stuff and you prepare, basically don't blast it out to everybody that you have all this stuff, right? Keep it subdued, protect your own, create your own community, so when everything falls apart, you can reach out to them and you can come together and get through everything, right? So it comes down to knowing your neighbors. Know your neighbors, because if everything, you lose power, big blizzard or whatever, know who your neighbors are, because you guys come together and help each other. It's community. Build community. So that pretty much covers everything. I'm letting you know. You need to watch the video. Just watch the whole thing. It's only about an hour and a half or so long. Just listen to it if you want. Again, if everything they said is to be true, and I take it all with a grain of salt, 2025 is going to be a wild ride. I definitely suggest you watch that one and the last one with Sarah Adams, because the stuff that they lay out, freaking scary if that's all true. And honestly, obviously you're going to hear from government agencies like, it's all nonsense, it's a conspiracy, none of it's happening. Do you trust the government? Do you think that they are not willing to lie to you and give you a false narrative? If you're like, oh, my government would never do that, obviously you've forgotten 2020, when government agencies and state governments just blatantly lied to us about everything. And then fast forward a couple of years, turns out all the conspiracy theorists are like, it came from a lab, this, that, and the other thing. They were all right. But the government was shooting it down, saying, no, conspiracy, it's because, somebody kissed a bat 1,000 miles away from where the city was or whatever. It's like, stop blowing smoke up my ass. All right, that's all I have for this video. I know not much else going on. It's the weekend, so everyone have a great weekend, and I will see all of you next week in the next video.